Development within the project proceeds in two strands. The Department of Computer Science is in charge of the first strand. It concerns the development of the right 3D representation of a dinghy race and includes the involvement of potential users of the system.
It was crucial to the project to involve the end user. Through brainstorms and workshops, we were bombarded with ideas on how to improve the situation.
But there are many challenges along the way, and quite a few that the team could not even have imagined.
The most difficult task, there's not one, there are many. One of the more funny ones were that we were spending a whole day trying to find a space, and I mean literally a space, in the code. It was basically because our collaborators had changed the protocol for sending the names of the vessels to us. And somewhere deep down we were actually mismatching this space and we couldn't find out where. So nothing worked just because of this bloody space.
As work progresses, the team gets an understanding of where the real potential lies.
What we found out in the process was that, of course, the overview is important, but the most important thing is that suddenly the public can experience what is sailing all about.
With this knowledge, the team begins to work with several other features where 3D is used as a basis of providing an increased understanding of what's happening on the course. The School of Architecture is in charge of the second strand. The aim is to find the best model for the installation of cameras on the 505 dinghies.
The idea was to mount cameras on 6 boats, 2 cameras on each, and to integrate the video feed in the 3D model. The choice of camera fell on a standard smartphone. It is a technology that exists and can be purchased for a relatively modest amount of money, and something that increasingly many people have at hand.
With this as a starting point, the School of Architecture chose a slightly different approach to their design process.
This is supposed to be implemented on other races too, other dinghy races. And that's why we wanted to design it in a way that small clubs or other sailors could design the device themselves or modify it or make it even better.
Having a design philosophy is one thing. Interaction with the sailors is quite another, as they are primarily interested in winning the race or getting the best possible ranking.
The most difficult thing during the design process would be finding a place on the dinghy that we can actually mount it safely without interfering with the sailing itself.
After many tests, the team succeeds in finding the most suitable solution, which turns out to be the rudderhead and transom. Mounts for both locations are developed in a very short time.
We call it sort of an open source in physical design because it's not free, of course, but you can get all the parts from the internet. You can order them and get them within a few days. And even the one that we've special designed for carrying the camera or the phone, which is, the camera actually is a mobile phone, is designed in a way that you can order it as a rapid manufacturing product from any rapid manufacturer supplier all over the world. We got ours from Belgium.
This is a suction cup camera mount. The suction cup itself is from another product on which we've added this custom printed camera mount and a floating device, and inside it all is a normal HTC telephone with an extra battery and a wide angle lens. We have an additional mount. It consists of the same arm as from the suction cup, but we have this clamp that clamps to the rudderhead, where we have especially designed the jaws here with some extra rubber padding so that it sticks. And this U profile that connects to the arm is also custom printed from the same place as the camera mount.
A few days before the start of the 505 World Championship, the full 3D model takes shape. It's now possible to get an overview of the course and also to mark a boat and thus get an overview of the boat number, current placement and position in the race, speed and the number of marks the boat has passed. There is also a leaderboard showing the top 10 in the race with the ability to scroll down or search to find any boat in the race. But in addition, a number of features have been designed to show what 3D can do for the understanding of sailing. At a distance, wind direction is marked with a big arrow on the line between the top and bottom mark. When zoomed in, the waves indicate the wind direction. The length of the wake indicates the speed of each boat, and thus allows a quick visual comparison between two or more boats to be made. Boats that run before the wind have a green spinnaker, which for instance makes it possible to see an overview of which boats have already rounded the top mark and which are still moving up the course. Any specific boat can be marked, whereby lines of different colours indicate the distance from that boat to the 5 nearest competitors. The most complex feature is the ability to choose any 5 boats with a camera on board and move down to each boat to get a vivid picture of what's going on. Presentation of the race in 3D is not the only aim of the project. It is also how to use social media as an additional means of dissemination.
Social media these days means that media plugs into your social graph, your social life, your personal relationships. The social network has now taken the place of the news network where information is collected and disseminated. All media that hopes to have an existence in the future has to be, by definition, social. In the deepest sense, the internet is a giant machine that links people and the things that people produce or have produced, and the question is, how can we integrate that into a 3D model?
Specifically selected and trained are a number of users who must work via smartphones as sensors and reporters. They are called Tubemogul in reference to Twitter, which is one of the services they use.
A Tubemogul is someone on the beach, a volunteer with a mobile who's on Twitter.
One Tubemogul is positioned on the race committee boat, one rides a follower boat, and one is positioned on the marina. From these locations, they upload geotagged photos to Flickr from their mobile devices. The images are integrated, whereby these external inputs become part of the 3D representation. But it quickly becomes apparent that this is only the beginning in terms of potential for sharing experiences in 3D.
The step on from that is that rather than being dictated to by a commentator who may or may know what they're talking about, sometimes they're very good, sometimes they're not, you will have commentators all around the world, and you will have former winners of the competition logging in and saying, you know, this should be the tactics of the race halfway through, and other people will be able to follow them. I've seen this working, I've had it explained to me, and it makes sense.
Overall, the project is a success.
We have reached our goal and we got quite a lot of attention. It is, however, very important to stress that this is an early version of what 3D can bring to the dissemination of dinghy sailing. We have gained insight into and defined a model for showing dinghy racing in 3D, and most important, the potential of visualizing the right set of data in order to make it understandable and to turn it into an interactive experience. Actually, viewable, understandable, shareable, and one could add affordable is the tagline we will use when continuing our work from here.
Using the technology to give spectators and family and other sailors a bit of an insight into what we're doing on the boats and what's going on is critical, because otherwise no one will ever be interested in sailing as a spectator sport.
It's been fantastic for me to see some of the technology you actually use in professional series like the Volvo or America's Cup or the TP52 class, where you get 3D animations, representations from the race course. As a sailor, that's fantastic to get so close to a competition where you feel like you're almost there.
With 3D we can bring the sailing into shore and make it more viewable for a wider audience, and this will, for me, bring more value, added value to the event and to my partners, of course.
I've never seen anything like this in dinghy racing. It was just amazing to be able to stand on the shore and be able to follow the race. It brings in a whole new level of understanding to the dinghy racing. I really think this can give us what we need to be able to actually follow the sport.
Well, up till now I haven't been very interested in sailing, but this is new. now I feel I'll be able to understand much more of what's going on. And if this can turn into a social experience too, I really think it has a future.
This technology has got the capacity to make yachting a spectator sport, and particularly makes it interesting for dinghy sailing, where all the action really is.